You're listening to a 4x4 Radio Network podcast.
Are we recording? Yes. Hey, Jeepers. Welcome to show... Well, the number's under discussion, and Scott will cover that later. I'm going to call it 164 at the moment, and some of you are going to be scratching your head going, what? But we'll get back to that in just a moment. But most importantly, this is the show for 15 June 2022, or at least that's the release date.
Right.
We're recording it a whopping 3 days early.
Yes.
And we're at a new location, no less.
Yes.
The old studio in my house where we used to live, we have moved, and we're in my new residence, and it is built. It is full of boxes piled to the ceilings and furniture in multiple parts.
Hey, don't ruin the magic.
No, but we did. I did put a little bit of special effort in this past 2 days to get the studio up and together so that we could record on time.
Yay. And what, are we calling it Studio C for cows or Studio R for rule?
Yes.
Okay.
So in the background, and this time instead of lawnmowers that Scott would always recur to, you'll hear occasionally, and if you do hear a piece of equipment, it's probably the tractor across the highway or the road in front of the house, and that's
We got a stalled tractor on Route 4, Ed. Now it's time for the morning tractor report. So having said all that, remember, as I am Scott, the slapstick parts guy.
I was getting there.
Oh, yeah, sorry. Here, we don't know what we're doing, folks. We're halfway in the middle of moving both of us and setting up our new houses, so both of us are absolutely chaotic. So, Mr. Kevin, would you please do the stuff?
Hey guys, welcome to On the Trail with Kevin and Scott. I'm Kevin, the engineer, the guy who reads instructions, uses the right tools, and generally follows those instructions. And the mumbling, confused, and dazed individual sitting
Sunburnt.
across the microphone, yeah, it's sunburned, that's both of us, is...
I'm Scott. I'm the slapstick parts guy, basically that does use a torque wrench actually occasionally. And I'm sitting here trying to close my eyes to remember my intro, which I forgot. So while we will share what worked for us as well as what didn't, like cow tipping, remember it's always you to do your research, read the instructions, and please follow. There you go.
That's the most interesting version I've heard in a while.
Well,
Yeah. The idea, guys, is very simple in our intro is do what you want. Don't do what anybody else tells you to do,
just
per
have
se,
fun.
as long as it's safe. We really don't want to hear you doing something that gets you hurt.
Yeah, exactly. We need all the listeners we can get.
Yeah. So anyway, Scott, you were supposed to explain why a lot of people in iLand are seeing show by count of 143 or something like that.
Okay.
But we're actually on show 164 as far as how many we've made.
So basically, now that we're considered OG and established shows now, because we are one of the original four. Basically, we were first started, and it had where I had to type in the show number on the Libsyn account for Libsyn, and then iTunes.
Libsyn is our hosting service.
Is our hosting service, and iTunes wanted to do their own thing. Well, halfway through the middle of everything in 2017, they said you can't do show notes inside or show numbers in the.
Description?
The title of the show.
Oh.
So I had to go back and change everything. Well, while I did that, they wouldn't allow me to do bonus shows, blah, 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 technical jargon, yada, yada, yada. So we had, so that's why the iTunes would show shows 160, and then the other shows would be 140, and everyone's like, what's going on here? And how can I can't listen to half the shows on iTunes, but if I go to Spotify or one of the other apps, all your shows are there.
Yeah.
So here's what we got, guys. Basically, if you want to get to the older shows, they're fine. They're all still there. They're all still active. We're not one of these people that shut down the shows. They're up there forever.
You want to look how silly we sounded when we started this podcast? You can go back to show 1.
Exactly. So you can do that either on our website, onthetrailpodcast.com, and click on the archives link, or again, like I said, Spotify. Most of the other podcast players have all the episodes.
Or if you really want to deep dive, you can go to Libsyn and look up On the Trail podcast.
Yes.
And go directly to the hosting source and get what I would call the truest file, there is. So,
but the idea is from moving forward, it's going to be one episode. So this starting from now on, it's show 164. So no, you haven't lost 20 plus episodes. It's just me going, I give up. It's going to be one show number now. We're
iTunes
done.
wins.
iTunes wins, yes. Bowing under corporate pressure. So
we got to share what we had happened today on the way here to to do the show.
Yeah, yes.
Scott is helping me move. I helped him move. He's helping me move. We're both, sharing each other's pain.
Literally.
And we talked about a small pre-Jeep. I don't even know how to describe it. Well, actually, I do. The Jeep was born of the marriage of two things. One was a small car by a small company, up in Pennsylvania called Bantam, American Bantam. And they produced the American Bantam, car. And that can be considered the mother. And unfortunately, World War II was the father.
Yeah.
And so there was an American Bantam, and I talked about it a couple of shows back, I don't know, 4 or 5 shows back, that had popped up around here. Well, it popped up again.
Yeah.
Not only did it pop up again, it's on the road as we were driving here with loads of stuff from my house, and we stopped and met the owner, and lo and behold, he's got it up for sale.
Right.
And it's really, really cool. It's a 1940 American Bantam. We believe it could be either a Hollywood special or what was the other one?
Some convertible or something like that. No.
Yeah, the but anyway, it's one of the basic ones. It's got the rear wheel skirts. Scott was surprised at how tiny it was and the little sewing machine motor.
Man, when you popped the hood on that thing, I looked down and went, the pressure washer we used today had more
Bigger engine.
No joke. You guys know, like when you take the pop the top off of a Coke bottle, like those 20-ounce Coke bottles, how small the little cap is. That had to be the size of the pistons in this thing.
A little bigger than that, but
Not okay. A Gatorade bottle.
Yeah, it's probably about the size of a regular Briggs & Stratton lawnmower engine. It's great. It's a little fire engine red. And here's the thing. It's up for sale. And it is, what do you want for it?
$17,000.
17 for a piece of that history. This, folks, is not a Jeep. I'm not trying to sell it as a Jeep, but it is the mother of the Jeep. It has the same front grille. If you go to the history books on the Jeep and look up the original Bantam Jeep, and you see that rounded nose rather than this traditional 7-slot that we're all used to now, but that rounded nose with the two frog's eye kind of headlights on either side.
Kermit the Jeep here.
That is exactly what this car has. You look at it and you look at the wheelbase and you go, because that's the frame that they used to build the Jeep. Even the first Bantam Jeep had this little tiny 4-cylinder sewing machine with an updraft carburetor in it.
Yeah.
And then you can get into the whole story about how the government procurements, because of the urgencies of the war, brought in Ford and Willys. And it was the group of 3 of them, Bantam, Ford, and Willys, that ended up coming up with the final Jeep we know most people typically call the Willys Jeeps.
The amalgamation of everything.
The amalgamation. But it still started with the Bantam. And it's really cool that car's out there. So if any of you are collectors or know of collectors that want that rare piece of history, we do have a phone number and information. We're going to put it on our Facebook page and our
Instagram.
Insta whatever.
Those
Carnation? No, that's
the Insta Twitters and Facegrams.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Christian is the guy selling it, and he has his contact up there, and he's willing to talk to anybody. He seemed like a really nice guy. He started it for us. Scott got a couple of clips, so we'll get them up there. They'll be up before this show airs, so you should be in good shape. But it's a neat little fire engine red thing and tiny. I don't think Scott and I would fit in it together. Do you?
No, I know. One of the things that I even mentioned to Kevin is like, again, it is a piece of automotive history. And, we all know that, vehicles, classic vehicles, especially the ones that survive in good shape, appreciate. And we got back in the truck, and I remember telling Kevin, I'm like, for a vehicle that probably brand new is $1,800 new.
Oh, I doubt it was that much, but yeah.
It just made my heart stop for a second. I'm like, oof. But again, you can't go out and buy that thing off an assembly line, literally. But it was just really kind of cool piece of automotive history because I'm watching a couple different shows with automotive restorers and things like that and talk about the history of vehicles. It's just a really cool piece. And, one of the cool things Kevin and I do talk about is like, the people with the flat fender Jeeps going out there and doing really cool stuff with them. It's less is more. And lastly, the thing I want to see talk about when you guys see the video, it sounds like a rod knock, but Kevin informed me that those are solid lifters.
Yeah, it's the old little updraft kind of farm type motor with the solid lifters that every 6,000 miles, you're supposed to go out and do a valve lash adjustment. And I told Scott, I said, it sounds just like an old, like it's cold, and cold being 96 degrees here in Florida, but in engine operating temperatures, that's still pretty cool. And it probably is an exhaust valve tick that just needs a valve lash. It didn't have any harm sounding in it, nothing.
So if it's every 6,000 miles for me, I'd be adjusting those. I'd be adjusting the valves every 3 days.
Yeah, that's probably about right for you.
Yeah, pretty much.
So, but anyway, if you're interested, you can give us a shout. We walked around a little bit, talked about it, heard him, started up. And it is definitely a collector's, not an off-road vehicle, but just really neat to see a piece of history up close. And yes, I know all of you people listening up in central Pennsylvania are going, oh, well, this is the town and this is where.
Right.
Yes, I know.
We know.
We're down here in central Florida.
Florida.
And the rest of the countries, doesn't actually have access to that level of history right there at the Bantam plant. No. So anyhow, just let us know if you'd like some more information, or we'll post his contact information. What do you say? Call or better yet, text?
Text, text probably better, But again, like I said, we'll share the information. Again, look on our Facebook page and stuff like that.
So that's pretty cool.
One of the things I did want to update everyone on real quickly is the fact that I got the Gladiator finally sorted out with my check engine light, because that was causing me issues. I was really upset with that. And turned out when they replaced the camshaft sensor,
they broke the new one.
They broke the new one using an electric impact wrench. Yeah. And, it caused oil to seep through and cause problems. And that kind of made me think of a quick little thing. Everyone says, well, I just put a new sensor in. And being in the part, this is like a Tales from the Parts counter kind of thing.
Yep.
Every time I've seen that, a lot of the sensors now have the little metal sleeve where you bolt them down. Mm-hmm. Okay. For a reason, you can't over tight, especially when you're in a hurry and you got that electric impact that you paid a lot of money for, and you're just not paying attention. Next thing you crack something. So was I upset? Yes, I had to drive 200 miles, but at the same time, I understood what happened. And again,
it's not the Jeep's fault. It was the mechanic. Got a little carried away.
So when you're doing your own work on your vehicles, just take a little bit of extra time. Kevin jokes about torque specs. There's a reason, you know.
We just went through that with Shane. We replaced the baby TJ, the little 2000. Well, what was it? $1,500 TJ. Mm-hmm. He put a new oil pan on. I helped him do that, do the rear main seal. None of that had been done to this thing. So this was all OG, and he had done the valve cover, and he listened, and he'd put the new grommets on and the clips and the sleeves, and all of a sudden he comes back and he goes, I understand what you were talking about now. There's no point in hammering the valve cover down, are there? I said, no, it's just, 17 to 18, whatever it is, inch pounds. Don't quote me on that, folks. I'm playing from memory here. It could be 20.
And we're tired.
But he's like, yeah, you could tighten those till the cows come home, and that's not going to make the valve cover any tighter. I said, nope. It's just do it the way they say.
Yep.
Torque it the way they say. And his stopped leaking. Amazing.
Well, you'd think that if there was a chance to where, let's say, put it to 40 inch pounds, they'd put a little piece of paper in there saying, hey, by the way, we found out if you make it tighter, it won't leak.
Yeah.
Because how long has the TJ been around?
Oh, yeah. Remember, we're 3 generations out of date now.
Exactly. And that's another thing, too, where I really kind of started thinking about another little rabbit hole I wanted to go down for a quick second. I don't know if anybody else is facing this thing. When we talked about the miles per gallon, the All Can't Be Zinger show, is, some of us are kind of facing that idea of, well, should I sell my Jeep because of fuel mileage and things like that? And I kind of tossed around the idea for a little bit, but then I kind of realized, I like driving the Gladiator more than, running out and buying a new vehicle. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to hang on to it and just curb my driving habits a little bit. But at the same time, too, it's, don't rush into a decision.
Yeah.
Be cool.
The money you lose selling off a vehicle used to go buy another vehicle, if you actually check at what your cost difference would be, you can probably pay for a whole lot of fuel for that difference. Mm-hmm. I know that your driving habits can make a huge difference. And the other thing that just shocked me no end, I mentioned before that I've got a Ford F-250 with a 6.7 diesel.
Right.
This is a somewhat heavy vehicle.
Yeah.
Okay. And I had, through careful driving, and I'm not a hypermiler, but just reasonable because the torque is addictive on that thing. And I got it up to 20 miles per gallon and 0.6. And yes, it reads in tenths. What was interesting was a little experiment. I noticed it starting to fall. And I was like, oh, crap, I'm not driving. I started trying, and it was still falling. And it got down to where I was averaging 20 miles per gallon and 0.3. And I'm like, that's 3 cents of a gallon. That's not a lot. I realized that, but that adds up over quite a few tanks. Mm-hmm. And all I did was I found out that I had a screw in my rear tire, and all 4 of them were low. But I fixed the hole in the one when it finally let go and the sensor went, you have a low tire. It's one of the nanny state devices that I kind of like because when you're running E-load range tires, they can be down to 5 PSI and look full.
Right.
The sidewalls are so stiff. But anyway, so I aired them back up to the absurd pressure that most Jeeps would never see. It recommends the tires can go up to 80 PSI, and they recommend running the truck. The rear is at 75. And do you know, within the next tank, it was back up to 20.5,
Cool.
And so you're talking that I lost 0.2 of a miles per gallon just on tire pressure.
Yeah.
And so that's something you can play with. We mentioned it before, but I actually now have a real-time test, and a vehicle that can measure down to tenths.
Yeah.
But I'm also pointing out that, here I have a full-size diesel truck that's getting 20 miles per gallon.
Yeah.
That's not bad because the best I can get the TJ up to is 15.
Yeah.
And that takes a whole lot to get it up to 15, which includes taking all the stuff out of it.
Yeah, pretty much. And on top of it, to segue to another subject Kevin and I were going to talk about, everyone keeps talking about, besides fuel mileage, another very common one out there is, chips in the windshield.
Oh, yes. And this one, we owe a slight apology to Tyler Schroer. Tyler, we're sorry it took us 2 shows to get to you, but it's just been that way.
Yeah.
But while we were at Jeep Beach, yes, we're still talking about Jeep Beach. It's summer. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Every time we mention Jeep Beach.
Yeah, it's from Scott.
Oh, those are the Bantam pictures.
Yeah, they just got here. Anyway, Tyler works with a company called Racing Optics Windshield Defense. And folks, this is something you've probably seen in the NASCAR pits. If you watch NASCAR and that kind of thing, they make the peel-off windshield films, for lack of a better term. Yeah. And they are like, where else have you seen those films?
They're very best way I can describe it would be like a clear bra for your car.
Yeah, well, and they go on your windscreen, and when it gets grunged to a point in NASCAR, they don't have wipers, so you get too many oils and bugs and schmutz from the car in front of you. They just pull in the next pits, and a guy grabs a corner of it and zip pulls off a film layer, and off you go with a fresh screen.
Right.
You've probably seen it in the in-car cameras. They were famous for that, particularly when they first came out, that the little rotary thing would peel it. So, your camera would be in there, and all of a sudden you'd see this little arm go across the camera, and it was clean.
Right.
And it wasn't a wiper. It was rolling off the film. Well, they have now come out with films for the Jeeps. And they have them for the JLs, the JKs, the TJs, and the JT Gladiators. And they're all die cut. And he said, and if you got something weird, call him.
Yeah.
Since they've got the computer ability. And I'm going to go off memory here, but I believe each one of them can be peeled up to 3 times. Does not harm your original windshield. Gives you extreme protection against rocks. I'm thinking also against the bugs, although I'd probably clean it, and it is cleanable, as far as washing the normal stuff on it.
Right.
They sell it with, they go into this big deal on the materials that they use only optical grade materials as opposed to some of the regular polyesters that can have kind of a hazing effect on your vision. Mm-hmm. And their stuff comes in, it's a little over $200. I'll let them explain it to you. And it comes with the install kit and free shipping at the moment and 30-day returns. And when they showed it to me, it really looked like a neat idea. And they said pre-cut specifically for the different Jeep Wrangler series and the Gladiator. And they had some demo ones out there that they were showing you. You could get in and look through and didn't look like they did anything to the Jeep, to be honest with you. So kind of a neat concept. So and it doesn't take too many replacement windshields to make up that $200 initial cost.
And that's one of the reasons why we decided to bring it up is because, again, we see that all the time people saying, oh, I got a chip in my windshield, the whole 9 yards.
Don't remind me how many chips I've got in mine right now and how many of the repairs that are in there, the acrylic little repair kits.
It's more acrylic than glass. No, one of the things people bring up, the Gorilla Glass. Mm-hmm. And I've seen some people say the Gorilla Glass breaks just as easy as a regular glass, and again, I think
in my world, what I've seen is the Gorilla Glass is more resistance over the hazing that happens with the wipers and the sandblasting, that kind of tends to frost the glass.
Oh yeah, the LJ was bad.
Yeah, and the Gorilla Glass seems to be better than that. But yeah, if you impact it, it still stars like most of the rest of them.
Oh, I swallowed half of the driver's seat upholstery like 3 or 4 weeks when I was coming down here. I was behind a rock holler and I was trying to get out from there, and I saw the rock go boing, boing, no, whack under the windshield. I'm like, okay, nothing happened. I'm like, I'm getting out of here because again, I have a big rock chip on the front of the Gladiator, and on the driver's side or passenger side A pillar, there is like almost a tear twist in the middle because it's aluminum.
Yeah, where
a rock hit it. It's the weirdest thing. Kind of a cool scar, And I heard like other Jeeps dig scars, so it's one of those things where it's like again, it's funny because I dabbed the touch it paint. I'm like, it's aluminum. What am I doing? But again, I don't want the paint to flake and stuff like that. So,
well, my tailgate on my Ford is aluminum bodied, and it's been torn up for 3 years now, and it still just looks like I scratched it yesterday. So I kind of like, yeah.
Well, that's another thing too, and Kevin and I, is it okay if we tease?
Well, I was just going to close out real quick, and no, we're not sponsored by them, and no, we're not compensated by them. But go ahead, if you're interested in it, you can check out Racing Optics. And they have a special website for those of us driving, the 7-slot wonders. And you can go to Racing Optics, all one word, Jeep. So RACINGOPTICSJPP.com.
Sweet.
So, and that's a special site just for the Racing Optics products for the Wrangler series. But as Tyler told me, he said, if you got something weird, give him a call.
Mm-hmm.
So
I got a Boeing 747. Do you do bird strike racing optics?
They might. You never know. So anyway, what's you got next?
Well, one thing I just read recently, Kevin, on the speaking of, since we're doing kind of like Gladiator and different tech kind of stuff, that Consumer Reports reported that the Gladiator is the worst mid-sized truck.
Okay.
I don't see how that's even possible because, I mean, that's the one thing I
depends on what they're judging it on.
And that's my problem is that they have a serious issue with it's all basically conjecture and your own personal opinion.
Mm-hmm. And they have a Consumer Reports. We used to have a subscription to them back in the past, quite a while. Mm-hmm. And initially they were very unbiased. And I'm sorry to say this, but in my opinion, they've gotten a little more biased. They kind of got full of themselves, and they started telling you what was important. Again, this gets back to what is happening to the news media in a lot of the worlds today, and I hate going off into this level, but people, rather than just going, this happened today. Mm-hmm. Oh, and it's horrible, and you should be worried, and you should, in other words, they start telling you what you should feel, what you should think, based on what has happened. And Consumer Report kind of leaned that way. So that's why my wife and we kind of dropped off. So I don't even know, and I don't have a subscription to get on to see why they're telling you. But, what if they rated fuel economy as the number one priority? Then yeah, it probably is one of the worst trucks out there.
Well, being Consumer Reports and because Jeep
we're kind of biased the other way if you think about it.
Well, and a lot of times I see the most complaints again in the dealership pages is about how the quality control and quality and this and how it's a mechanical lemon and there's all kinds of problems because hey, fix it again, Tony. It's owned by Fiat or Stellantis now, and parts are hard to get a hold of. I can tell you this that. I'm going to circle back around to what happened the other day because you and I just talked about this. And I was driving down the interstate, coming down to Kevin's, and I saw a JL on the side of the road. So I pulled over quickly, and safely. And as a young lady and her boyfriend, they were inside their JL 2.0 turbo, and it was overheating. Of course, hey, you okay? Do you need any help? Yes, I got some. My dad's coming on the way. Blah, blah, blah. We started talking, and she started saying, how she had a few problems with the Jeep because she just had it. Now, again, I haven't had one of the 2.0 turbos, so I don't know. So I kind of asked her, what kind of problems have you had? And she said, well, the overheating and a couple other things. And I said, oh, well, reach out to the show if you'd like. And I hope she does, But I did a couple of things I could check just make sure that it wasn't anything
Fan was running
catastrophic.
and that kind of stuff.
Yeah. So, and again, that aside, when I can, I do stop to help other Jeepers, or any most if I can. But I'm a little biased towards Jeepers. But as we were talking, she, was kind of worried that she just bought this Jeep and is having all these problems. And the problems that she told me, I kind of like tried to, let her mind at ease. I can say it now because I no longer work for them. I worked for Lexus. Now, when people think Lexus, it's Toyota, it's quality, it's engineering, it's the whole 9 yards. And I can tell you right now, there's a reason my service department did over $1 million a month.
Yeah.
Okay, because no manufacturer on the face of this planet makes a 100% trouble-free vehicle. They're all going to have problems. There's a joke on a meme I saw that said, you have problems flying. Well, don't worry. If all 20 million components all, work together in harmony and not one fail, you'll be okay. Car's no different.
Yeah.
Each manufacturer.
Cars don't have 3 levels of redundancy.
Yeah, 3 levels of redundancy. But the point is that, even though you drive a Lexus, Ford, Dodge, Mitsubishi, whatever, those parts aren't made sometimes by Ford, Dodge, Mitsubishi, Chrysler. They're made by outsourced companies who makes them for other manufacturers. Because believe me, guys, I held the box in my hand. Sometimes they put out 500 or let's call it an even round number. Let's say they put out 1,000 units. Kevin, in your ability, what would be an acceptable level of a defective part?
Well, that is a very difficult thing in manufacturing. Now, I wasn't in manufacturing, but we studied it,
Right.
and when I had my second career, I worked for companies that did that. It's not that you never have defective parts. It's that the defectives don't leave the factory. Do you follow me?
Yeah.
If you're making air filters, okay, and you have 95% perfect coming down the line, you only ship those 95% that are perfect, and the rest are recycled or whatever, or repaired.
R&D'd,
whatever. Why did they not pass? The idea is that, and I don't know what's an acceptable level.
right?
All right. And I'm not sure a manufacturer knows what an acceptable level is, because how would you like to be the one person who bought the acceptable level defect?
Right.
So the answer is, I think the market tells them what's the acceptable level. Okay. If you're the 1 in a million who's, let's grab your Gladiator, Gladiator blows up an engine. Well, but the manufacturer has, 3 million vehicles with perfect engines, and they cover it under warranty because they're going to be like, oh, that's only one engine. We can cover that. No problem.
Right.
You're still a happy customer. You're not as happy, but they fixed it for you. You tend to go, oh, well, they made it right.
See, is that where like Consumer Reports gets a bad rap?
Yeah.
Yeah, and to go on your little one component thing, and see, that's one thing I kind of explained to her a little bit and to other people on this topic is, yes, you can have let's break things down. You have a production run of 100,000 Jeep Gladiators, okay? Of those 100,000 Jeep Gladiators, I can't talk today, people. Let's say you have a few that are defective, okay? Or don't pass quality control. The person was asleep when they were supposed to do quality control.
Whatever happened.
Follow me down this rabbit hole. On that same you also have the same engine that has all those components. The heads are made someplace. The engine block's made another place. The transmission, the components that hang on the motor, the water pump, the injection systems, the computer systems. Each one of those have their own failure rate. And all together, you're going to have a failure rate sometimes. One of the perfect examples, I think we could maybe, again, follow me more on this rabbit hole, and is that take for example, the Bronco. They're talking now about some of the engines are having valve issues, but that's all they're saying. They're not going into detail what broke, how, when, with which jelly. It's
That was not
for
me,
whom
folks.
the
That
bell
was
tolls.
Scott.
It's funny you guys can't see. I wish you saw the video going, because Kevin's giving me this very interesting look, because I have gone completely off the rails. But those are the things I think about, where when the Gladiator gets a bad rap, because let's say, again, fuel economy, it's a mid-sized truck. The Tacoma can't be much better because it's running the 4.0 V6 that they've run.
But the thing is that in fairness to Consumer Reports, they have come up with their team of experts, duly noted in quotes, and they have decided what the elements of the review are. They're going to check fuel economy, handling, braking distance, cargo carrying capability. And then they're going to do safety issues like, okay, if we have low tires and do swerves, how bad does this happen or how bad does that happen? I doubt they have how easy is it to modify or lift or I doubt they even have a trail handling capability test, all right?
Fair.
Because Consumer Reports is really about the multitude, not the specifics. And the Jeep Gladiator is a niche market vehicle. Let's be honest. The Prowler was not rated a high-rated vehicle by Consumer Reports, yet was a very popular Chrysler product because it was unique, but it only was worth it to those niche buyers that could, go for that roadster look. So I take it with a grain of salt. Read the Consumer Reports if you want. If there's a technical reason that is a problem, believe me, Jeep will listen to it and kind of go, we need to look at that.
Yeah.
And just like with these the turbo,
the 2.7 motors,
2.7, and the overheating issue. They need to figure out, did they cut the razor a little too sharp, on the heat rejection, or is there a tuning issue where somebody pushed it a little too far for the heat? They hotbox these vehicles like crazy to make sure that they don't overheat. And there's something that kind of slipped through the cracks.
But yeah, you and I talking on the valve issue. It could be something where something about tolerances, you said.
Well, yeah, people say, "Oh, it's having valve issues that destroy the motors." Okay, that's not saying much.
Yeah,
a valve train. I don't know. Is it an overhead cam motor? Is it a internal cam with push rods? Does it have lifters? Do the lifter? So you can have valve quote unquote issues with most common thought. Everybody says, "Oh my God, the valve fell into the piston." Yeah, that could do.
I went there.
Okay, you did, and that's why I picked on it. But that is the most common thing, and that usually is the valve locks on the valve stem have failed. Okay, and it is not unheard of in the past. I doubt it's a real issue here. Or it could be the spring brakes. Okay, that's a manufacturing issue. Or it could be if it's a rocker arm. Did the rocker arm break? That would cause a valve issue. Okay. Oh, gee, how about the lifter in the bore if it's a lower, if it's a cam with a lifter? Because if it is, I have heard of lifters and the bores having too tight a tolerance. So, you think it's precision manufacturing, but precision metal parts expand. And if you don't allow enough room for them to expand, guess what? They get stuck. And what happens if the lifter gets stuck up? No pun intended there. Versus down. Right. Well, gee, in an interference engine, which I believe that engine is, smack-o, piston meet valve, meet piston. What did you? Oh, look at that! A brand new baby shard of metal.
Warranty clerk, meet new paperwork.
Yes, exactly. So all of those components, they all are considered a valve failure. So don't know the problem. I'm sure they're looking at it. I'm sure they're scrambling because nobody wants to see bad press any more than Chrysler wants to see anything on the Gladiator. The point is the Gladiator is a unique niche vehicle.
Well, it's a 4-door convertible truck.
Yeah. There's one. It's a class of one, so it's going to be both the best and the worst.
Well, so, that's there's noise. There's a lot of wind noise. It's a soft top.
Yes, So I've used those kind of references in the past, like I said, when they were somewhat aligned with what I wanted in a vehicle, but then when they get off into some of their own little personal things, okay, if you don't like the way the gas filler door is, fine. They were right on the Pinto, though.
Yeah.
For those of you who aren't old enough, Google Pinto rear end crash, and you'll find out what we're talking about.
Well, I guess you'd circle back around to where, do what's right by your Jeep and what you want, because at the end of the day, the Consumer Reports is just like that. It's subjective. It's what they want in a vehicle. So, I'm willing to deal with a little bit of wind noise because, again, 4-door convertible truck.
Yeah, and it may, soft tops come with leaks.
Yes.
I'm sorry. It didn't leak when it left the factory. I'll guarantee you that. The water test chambers prove that. However, you took that top down and drove with your hair out and got yourself a sunburn top of your head and then put the top back up and it's got a leak. Okay, that's one of those things with, soft tops. I'm sorry. I had convertibles with different cars over the years.
Yeah.
They leak.
Well, it's funny when you said drive with my hair. I picture I threw the back and all of a sudden my wig flies off. My hair.
Got to remember, we're on radio, Scott. Nobody
Yeah,
knows what you look like.
Yeah, so, well, no, they got Facebooks, but again, so some people get like really, because I did a little bit too. I got a little bit defensive when I saw that
because you drive one, but
I drive one so much, and I do love it, and I love the LJ too. And everyone's like, "Oh, it's such a harsh ride." Have you ever driven a YJ?
Yeah,
I can tell you right now.
That's relative. That's what you're comfortable with, and that's what everybody else gets into. Is that everybody? Well, I hear it all the time.
I feel attacked.
Well, look at me. Well, why didn't you do a V8 swap in your engine? Why don't you sell that and get a new one? I like my TJ.
Even better, why'd you buy a 2-wheel drive extended cab Ford diesel?
Yeah. Oh, do I had a lot of grief for that. And I said, you know what?
The most hated man in Ford right now.
My answer is, we'll talk at the next stoplight if you get there.
It's so funny when they talk about the quality control issues. I just found one of a friend of the show. He was towing his boat, with his Dodge 2500, and apparently his transfer case exploded.
Yeah.
Apparently it's an issue. It's a known issue. These transfer cases go bang, and the one guy put, "That's why I buy 2-wheel drive trucks."
Well,
I thought of you.
Yeah. Well, that's not why I bought a 2-wheel drive truck. I just know that I didn't need 4-wheel drive in that truck. And carrying around all that extra weight and paying the fuel penalties didn't help. And I happen to know that in my goal of building a basic work truck that could double as a hot rod, and you've ridden in it, it does both pretty darn well.
I still remember you talking about the people at Ford going, "Are you sure this is what you want? This is really outside the normal. We normally don't do this."
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I want.
That's what I want. And I've been happy with it ever since. Ford, you done good.
Yeah, whoever sells tires will be happy.
Yes, I definitely need another set.
How many miles on that?
A little over 35 now.
That's not bad.
No, it's not bad, but again, it really should have something a bit more wider on it than the originals, and we'll look into that. But
meanwhile, Captain Elevensies over here.
Yeah, well, she launches well.
She launches very well. But again, that's all subjective. Again, I guess you could say I almost internet trolled myself just then.
You did, and again, I don't necessarily fault Consumer Reports. I do think they've gotten a little biased and started to get into telling me what is right, and that's kind of my fault. If Consumer Reports ever hears this, they'll know that at least one person left them, because I feel you've lost some of your subjectivity.
Well,
and objectivity.
There went that show sponsor.
We don't have show sponsors.
I know.
That's why we don't have show sponsors. That's why we answer to our Patreon.
Mm-hmm. I like the part, hey, why don't you have sponsors? Because if I don't like your product, I will tank it.
Yes. Well, I won't tank it. I will let you know the honest reason.
Yeah.
And for those of you who haven't become a Patreon, I'm not going to try and sell you. You either will or you won't. But I will tell you that we have great conversations with our Patreons and enjoy chatting back and forth on different projects. And, Brandon and your bump stops, I'm glad that they worked for you. I got asked a long question about how to set bump stops, and I gave an answer. And by then he's like, "Well, I've already done it, and I just went ahead and eyeballed and hacked it off. And guess what? It works." I said, "Well, you get lucky."
There you go. See? Speaking of bump stops and hacksaw blades.
That was an extreme.
So, what did I say? What was that? Like 4, 5, 7 shows ago? My lift is still in the garage. Yet. Hey, folks, guess where Scott's lift still is?
It's a different garage.
Yes.
It's been in several over the last month.
And it's even out of the sacrilegious. I can't talk.
Scott's getting his MERS wixed.
Okay, so basically, yes, William and Mattson, my lift is still in the storage unit now. I've moved that lift so many times.
It's got its own frequent flyer account.
No kidding. I just hope all the parts are there in the box still, because I've had friends help me move. I'm like, and the last time I moved it, I'm setting everything up going, man, I hope I'm not missing a box. This is going to really piss me off if I am. So... So a little slight teaser.
My question is will you get your lift installed before I have my garage built and lift installed to lift your Jeep to put the lift on?
I keep threatening I'm going to buy a Gladiator lift and install it first, just out of spite.
Well, you said that you were going to get the lift, put it in the garage, and let it marinate a year because they're better when they're well aged.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but yeah, I'm gonna get another email from Mattson. Really? So how about I just come down when we do the show together, and I can help you install this lift, and I'll grab the Sawzall blades off William's desk, and we'll get this done. Even Corey at GP is like, really?
And with that, Scott, would you care to surprise the listening audience?
We're currently, and because Kevin's on me on this will happen faster than the lift in my Jeep. Because we still got to get Don Cox on here too. Gosh, we got so much to do. Mattson from Metal Cloak.
Yes,
the
Mattson of Modern Jeeper. Another podcast, great podcast out there. I don't know if Corey will be on with him in this one, but they have a fantastic podcast as well. And he has reached out to us and would like to chat jointly.
Yeah.
And I think that's absolutely fantastic. We've only been talking about it for 2 years. And it's not Mattson that's been delaying it.
Yeah, it's been me, guys. Sorry. A lot going on over here.
Life has been interesting over the last couple of years for Scott, and by corollary, the rest of us in involvement as well. So, but we are going to try very hard to get him on and have a discussion with Mattson, the owner and originator of the one and only Metal Cloak. That's cool.
Yeah, so we'll get them on, and we'll take care of this, and we'll get this business done. So if you have any questions you want to ask, by all means, send them to us on thetrailpodcast@gmail.com, and we will forward and or ask those messages. Excuse me, lunch is talking.
Yeah, he's over there he was turning purple. I'm like, what is wrong? But he's still speaking, so I know he can breathe. He can't think, but he can breathe, right?
Yeah, pretty much. The mouth doesn't work as much as the brain.
Oh, I think
I
this
said
is a
mouth,
sign.
not mouse. Give me your money, punk. I wave
You
past.
aren't going to get us sued yet.
I wave past the Iger ears as I pass by on the way here.
Yes,
But
he does. Yes, and just as a reminder, folks, that we are no longer located in the same town. That life has sent Scott on the other side of the state of Florida. Thank heavens it's a narrow peninsula.
yeah. Everyone's like, where you live at? Deltona. And then I've had a couple people go, oh, smell Tona? So I learned that some of Deltona is built on a garbage dump. It's great, pardon me, can't blame the dog on that smell. Gun of the trail dog. But
Yes, no, Scott is adjusting to life and some improvements in life, shall we say. He is now a homeowner and has met a nice young lady and has formed a very promising relationship at this point.
yeah, she's an old friend from high school, and she's also a widow, so she understands things.
She understands, and it's good that where my wife and I, Susan, relocated to, it's not greatly closer, but hey, a half an hour closer is a half an hour closer.
Yeah, exactly. I'll take it.
And if we originally started a little bit lost on the west coast of Florida, and unfortunately the rest of what would you call it, urban Florida decided to come visit and stay. And so we have built a new hacienda, a little more centralized in Florida. It's still considered west side, but
West Side.
and the house is done, and obviously we are now moving lock, stock, and barrel in here, downsized by probably almost 500 square feet, and went up instead of out. Most Florida homes here are one-story, concrete block boxes. And we went up and kind of recreated a little more of a mountain, or let's not even say that, or just a rural farmhouse kind of a concept. And there's a whole story on that, but I won't bore you on a Jeep podcast on that. I did make life interesting for the builders and several other folks. So that's
The most important thing is the TJ fits in the garage.
the TJ does fit in the garage. Yes, it does. It fit in the other one too, but it was a real tight fit. This
Now
one,
he's got his own spot.
yes, it's got its own spot. And
Same thing with mine.
Soon to follow. We're probably within the next 3 weeks, I'll be looking for a contractor, and we are going to build a rather large barn out back, except that it will be more of a machinist barn, and it'll have a central area large enough to comfortably take in a vehicle and do anything from fabrication to service, and with a lift and whatnot in the middle, so that I can do a little more hands-on work without having to go annoy our friends in various machine shops and mechanic shops. And then it'll have another bay off one side for my power tools and stuff like that, for woodworking and fab work and that. And then the other side, my wife wants herself a little shop for doing her crafts and scrap stuff. And then out back will be a shed for my tractors and parts cars, hint, hint, nudge, nudge, that kind of thing. And so
well, we were joking about the tractor talk with Scott and Kevin, but unfortunately we're not joking because he does own a tractor, guys.
Yes, I do. I own it's just called a compact. It's not a subcompact tractor, but it's a compact. So drive wheels are only 4 foot in diameter.
Yeah.
They're 48s,
Well, you know how you can tell it's an economy compact? No hubcaps. Some people won't get that joke. Okay, in the 80s and early 90s, compact economy cars came with steel wheels and a center cap, no actual plastic hubcaps. That's
Right.
where that joke comes from. I am showing my age. Pop over here. But no, again, I'm actually looking forward to, because again, still haven't.
If I get that thing built, we can actually do the lift on your TJ.
No, I want to get that. I want to get that lift installed soon, because even Autumn went for a ride with me and she's like, "Wow, this thing rides like crap." I'm like, "Yeah." She's like, "Can we take the Gladiator?" I'm like, "Yeah, we'll take the Gladiator."
Well, and I do like the fact that your seats have followed suit to your suspension.
That's not my fault. Parts are on back order, and I have talked to them many a times. I'm actually, we talk about keeping good
Relations with your
with the vendors. Hold on, guys. I'm trying to get the name because I want to make sure I get the name right.
If there was ever proof that these podcast is not scripted.
Pretty much. Let's see here. No, it wasn't Austin. Hold on.
Keep Austin weird. Those in Texas know what I'm talking about.
Nice.
But it's a city motto. It's on a big billboard when you go in. And it's a cool town. It really is.
Yes, it is. Matt. I've talked to Matt over at Impact Racing a few times, and apparently they had a issue with the manufacturer made some of the seat brackets wrong, and that's okay. And again, being patient, but I do want my seats installed. But we'll figure something out. But again, hopefully, again soon. But again, there's nothing they can do. It sucks, but it's gonna happen.
As I told you before, I'm quite happy to next time, if you want to throw the seats in the back again, bring them over here after I can actually find a tool.
Yeah.
We will fabricate our own pieces temporarily, since we have a model sitting right next to it with the exact same seats and bracket system.
I might take you up on that until they come in, because I just want those seats installed, because the bed rug looks nice inside there, the hard top. I mean,
Folks, what he's not saying is that his old factory seats died, and then we resurrected
4 years
them
ago
by tying in some strips of plywood, which has since gone.
No, didn't since gone. On the way home went that way.
And,
You Taco Bell drive-thru. Yes, like 4 bean and rice burritos, a Mexican pizza. Snap. Make that 1 bean burrito and a Mexican pizza and a diet soda, please. And I drop an inch down into the seat, going, "Wow, ease up on the taco sauce there, cowboy." I wish I was joking.
So, yeah, well.
Well, I do think it's time we do wind some things down, but I did want to make another quick announcement, though, if that's cool with Mr. Kevin. If you do use iTunes or something like that, we do actually, we like to mention these as they come in, but we actually had somebody, Shiny, I guess, SHINNY, or Shinny? I don't know if that's what they put. One of the most informative and funny Jeep shows I've listened to. Love the 4x4 Radio Network. Thank you for that review, by the way. 5 stars. And also, it looks like we have In Gavish. As a 20-year veteran automotive technician in the dealer setting, this is one of the few Jeep podcasts I can actually listen to because of the technical content isn't watered down fluff. Thanks for keeping it real, guys. I look forward to every episode. So that's just proof there that people come here for Kevin's tech and not my fart jokes.
Or both.
A little bit of both. A little
Little
column
bit of
A,
both.
a little bit of column F.
You know, I would get to being in one of those, bespeckled college professors in
Bueller.
the cardigan with the leather elbow patches talking about, and over here we have the wiring for the 1974,
Meanwhile, I'm in the corner going, boring.
yeah.
You're losing the audience, Doc. Sorry.
So no, you tend to keep it from getting too deep, because you know me, I'll keep drilling until I find oil. And in a Jeep, that's not hard.
Well, so I actually do want to ask that question. If you have had your own, what's your take if you own a Gladiator or a JL? Give me your feedback on what you think about your Jeep, whether a TJ, a rock crawler, what you built, the things you've done. Like Kevin, give us some of your build sheets.
Oh,
Some of
you're
the things-
asking the listeners. I thought you were asking me. I'm going, if you haven't figured that out by yet after 5+ years.
Let's do our own consumer reports. What do you think?
Yeah.
What do you think? Do you think it's biased? Do you like your Jeeps? Because again, I am biased. I love my Jeeps.
Yeah.
I think they're wonderful. I think they're great. I think they're a piece of Americana.
Yeah, well, they're funny because they're Americana that's counterculture. Okay, they're definitely American heritage, but they fly in the face of the plastic molded econo boxes that are running around on the streets, that put the stereo system above the gas pedal. And don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm biased too,
I was gonna
obviously.
say, every time we jump in Kevin's truck to go to lunch.
Well, look at the whole fleet here
Yeah.
at my side. Even my wife's little, 3-pointed star with a 4-cylinder with a turbo that will seriously kick what.
Yeah.
You put your foot in that thing and hold on. It's made for the Autobahn.
Yeah.
And we've Spice Run to Kessel, try Tampa to Orlando.
In under 12 parsecs.
I'm looking down, going, "Ooh, I'm not supposed to be going that fast." Boy, it's smooth at that speed. Hey,
Not
and
me.
Sue wakes up, going, "What are you talking to yourself?" I said, "Nothing." She says, "Is that speedometer on 3 digits?" No.
Yeah, I have it on kilometers per hour. That's it.
Yeah,
Kilometer. Yeah. It's on KPH.
Now, some of us still live the performance world. Okay, but it's funny that you can get a vehicle, i.e. a Jeep, just about any model, even though some of them are kind of towards the regular culture, but it's particularly the Wranglers and the Gladiators, that screams American history, but it's so counterculture. It's not fuel efficient. It's not aerodynamic. They've slid in the stereo systems and all of the gewgaws on the driver's seat, but you still sit upright. You're not in a semi-supine reclined position. You're not listening to the symphony orchestra, in plush leather with suede and real wood accents. No,
I take it back to when the JK first came out.
Right.
Because something very similar to what you said. Consumer Reports at that time, I remember this article.
Yep.
It's had such cheap plastic fenders and bumpers, a.k.a. the Tupperware ones. We all
Yeah.
talk about Tupperware. And
Which can take a smack and pop back. They'll be distorted and discolored, but they're still there.
not even just that, but on top of that, they go, this thing's all cheap and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, they're going to replace the bumpers with steel ones anyways. They're going to replace the fenders with steel ones anyways. This is just something to get for wink, wink, federal standards. And as I'm driving around my TJ and even the Gladiator now with both steel bumpers, and I have the Toyota trying to road rage me on die 4, and I'm like, go ahead, pal. There's more steel in my front bumper and your whole quarter panel.
True.
Hit me with your high beams. I can't see anything out this back with this spare tire back here, dude. And I'm 4 inches above you.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay, that's try not to trip my soapbox on the way out, people. But that's the thing, though. I think that's a way to end this. Is that Consumer Reports is looking at the vehicle as it is, and you and I both know we make it our own.
Correct.
We're going to put the steel bumpers and we're going to add 700 pounds of steel weight because you know what? Who cares about fuel mileage anyways? Because I want to be a tank down the road.
Well, yeah. Truth to that, unfortunately, some of us do go for that route, and so be it. But, I still like our Jeeps, and Consumer Reports can get their information and they can post it, and okay. it doesn't seem to have slowed down sales.
No. There's a reason why they don't offer rebates on Wranglers.
No. It's still a matter of, I think it's an ideology, it's a culture, it's a lifestyle. I don't care what you call it. Jeep, the only vehicle that comes stock with friends.
Mm-hmm. And rubber ducks.
That one got me a little confused.
Hey, you know what? You do you. Rubber ducks, whatever you guys want to do, have fun with it. I don't care.
I just don't know where they came from. How
Neither
did
do I. Again,
ducks get okay.
Because I have some left over from Jeep Beach. Yes, I did do it, guys. Relax.
Yes, you did.
I took one of our beach bags and a duck, and I put it on the person's mirror. And as I'm driving away, you know, I heard the person, you know, squee. They were so happy they got, you know, and I brought joy to someone's day.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't disagree with that. I just don't get the connection. What made the first person go, I've got a little tiny toy bathtub duck. Let me leave it on a Jeep.
Oh, even better was
Where
the
did that
first
come
one
from?
used.
That noise you heard was my head hitting the microphone.
It smells like Irish Spring. What's going on here?
Where did that one? I thought we were ending this show. Ay. But hey, if any of you know the origin of ducking the Jeeps, let me know. I'm kind of lost on this one. I mean, I remember it starting just sporadically, and people were like, "What's with the ducks?" You know. But okay.
Kevin doesn't have a duck on his Jeep. You know, he's not above.
Oh, I've got a few of them, and that's very nice. I thank the people who looked beneath the skin, because, like I say, Slightly Altered is not a glamour girl. She was never made to be a glamour girl. She is a trail, you know, quite frankly, what most people call it's magic, so they call her a trail witch. You know, she just goes places. That little Jeep won't get there.
So your Jeep is Stevie Nicks.
Hey, there are worse things to be compared to. That was one of my favorite singers.
Oh, I know. Are you kidding, man? Before this turns into old man pop music cast with me included, because I am so like Thomas Dolby, she blinded me with science. I've been teasing Quentin with that song all day long, you know. So
Miss Yakamoto.
oh, I think we should end this.
I think so too, folks. We've had enough fun with this one and the slapdash tired humor.
Yeah.
But we will get back to you. And next show or the show after, I made Scott promise, as long as Madsen and Corey and the others that may be on the show from our friends over at Modern Jeeper podcast, and check them out, please. I think you'd enjoy it immensely. We'll try and get together and do our whatever it is. I don't know if it's a joint show. Are we interviewing them? Are they on our show? Are we on their show? I have no idea. I guarantee you it'll be fun.
Absolutely. I'm down for that, because every time we've gone and talked to those guys, they have been absolutely amazing and very helpful to everything. And like I said, you know, I'm customers. We purchased all of our parts before we became friends via the shows.
Yep.
So. Sweet.
All right. Well, as we say, had enough today. Time to lock up, put the Jeep in 4-low, and hit the trail.
And remember to take nothing but pictures, memories, and your trash when you leave the trail, because we want to keep these trails open for our children's and our children's and the cats, dogs, and all kinds of plethora of animals, including the cow that's over there in the field I'm staring at right now. So with that, catch you on show number 165. Remember, we didn't fast forward.
Yeah.
So with that, this guy is going to take a shower after I help Kevin hang his curtains, and you guys have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye.
Proceeding has been provided for entertainment only. Proper service and repair procedures are vital to the safe, reliable operation of all motor vehicles, as well as personal safety of those performing those repairs. Standard safety procedures and precaution, including the use of safety goggles and proper tools and equipment, should be followed at all times to eliminate the possibility of personal injury or improper service which could damage the vehicle or compromise its safety.
What he said. Thanks a lot for listening, guys. You guys have a great day.
Bye.
This has been a Bent Axle Media production.